Hi, hi, yeah. Come on in, come on in. Um, so what's the problem? Commas. Oh, you and 100 others. Yeah, real common out there. Um, Overuse them. Sometimes you have no clue what to do. Yeah. It's a big problem. Yeah. Well, listen, you've come to the right place, but no promises. All I can say is if you don't get this corrected, you're in trouble. Yeah. Nobody's going to understand what you're talking about. Yeah. So let's go to work on it, and we're going to start with just running you through a whole battery of tests. Okay. So we'll do that, see how you're doing, get you all fixed up, and send you out on your way. Okay, great. Yeah, let's go. Okay, so start here by looking at these 15 sentences and inserting a comma where you think it belongs or resisting the temptation to insert one. All right, and when you have done that and you're ready to look at the answers, here they are. Now, you'll notice that I have highlighted lots of words in red. That's where the comma is landing between those words. In numbers 2 and 5, there are no commas. Otherwise, every sentence needs at least one. Now, I'll explain all of this as we walk through the tutorial. But to begin, let's just ask ourselves, why do we use commas? Why do we need them? Well, most often it's there to avoid confusion, like time to cut and paste, children. Wait a minute. Wait. I'm not saying that. I don't want to chop up kids. No, we're directly addressing them. Time to cut and paste, children. Yeah, confusion. Got to avoid it. If you cook the baby, well, wait a minute. I'm confused. Wait, I need a comma to avoid that. If you cook, comma, the baby will stop crying. Got it? Look at this sign for some pretty remarkable children. Toilet only for disabled, elderly, pregnant children. Wow, they have a lot going on, those kids. So, commas, you need them to avoid confusion, and if there's no confusion going on, you can probably avoid using a comma, because that's the other problem, is spraying your paper with a comma aerosol and overdoing it. So let's learn the rules that'll help with confusion and will help with overuse of commas. Starting with this really important one, use a comma to separate two complete sentences. I repeat, two complete sentences, joined by words like and, but, or, nor, for, so, and yet. To repeat, this is important. The two parts could stand alone as separate sentences, like, I will try to run the race. That's complete sentence, subject, verb, but you better not wait for me. Ah, that could stand alone. You as a subject, wait is the verb. Okay, so we want a comma before the word but, as opposed to, I will try to run the race, but don't wait for me. All right, there's no subject after the word but, so it's not complete. And really, it comes down to that. If there is a subject after that word like and or but, if there is a subject, then you want the comma before. That subject is going to make that second part a complete sentence. Okay? Now, the exception is if the two clauses are complete, but they're short, like the car took off and our vacation began. No, technically yes, but you want a certain energy and there's no confusion going on, so no comma there. Rule number 2, use a comma after an introductory word group, unless it's really short. And the rough guideline is 5 words or longer. But again, that's just a rough guideline. In the time it takes to prepare a meal, we could go out to eat. That's a lot of words. 9 words. That's a long introductory word group. Use a comma. When the sky bursts with rain, I'll run inside. Yeah, comma. Long enough. It helps with understanding. In no time, we arrived at the concert. Oh, that's too short. And we don't need a comma there. It would break up the energy, and there's no confusion there. So that's the rationale behind it. Number 3, use commas between items in a series and this is important, including the last two. Gold, comma, incense, comma, and myrrh were the gifts from the kings. Notice that comma between incense and, between these last two items. My favorite cities are Istanbul, comma, Rome, comma, Paris, comma, and Sonora. It's that last one that's confusing, and yes, you could almost get away with it. Some publications don't use it, but the major ones, like the New York Times and the New Yorker, they still use it. The rationale being that that comma between each of the items makes each of the items of equal weight. Otherwise, it almost rushes the last two together. Gold, incense, and myrrh. Favorite cities, Istanbul, Rome, Paris, and Sonora. So that's the rationale. Give them equal weight by halting them with the comma. Okay, that's a lot so far, and we're about to jump into a tough one. So, comedy reprieve. I constantly feel out of place, doctor. Comedy done, onward. 2, this tough one, which is you use commas to set off non-essential phrases to a sentence. Huh? What does that mean? Well, look at the example. The president, who was born in Hawaii, will be giving the speech. Okay, if you remove the phrase, who was born in Hawaii, the essential meaning of the sentence remains. The president's giving the speech. Sure, the other stuff is nice to know, but it doesn't change the meaning of the sentence without it. So, you use commas on both sides of that phrase. It's non-essential. I think the comparison might help you out with this concept. Clothes which are durable must be packed for the hike. Okay, that's really essential, the which are durable, because that's what you're being advised to bring, not just bring clothes. No. You need durable clothes for this hike. That's essential. Don't hide that phrase in commas. Drivers who think they own the road make cycling a dangerous sport. Well, no, drivers don't make it a dangerous sport. It's particular drivers who are angry and think they own the road. That is essential to understanding. Therefore, you don't want commas there. If you removed it, the essential meaning of the sentence would be lost. Now, the challenging part is that there's room for interpretation. A lot of these rules with commas, they're hard and fast. You really have to use it there. But this one takes some brain power, and your decision might differ from somebody else. Yep, after that I sense you need even more comedy. I'm sorry, honey, but we can't be taking in every stray comma you bring home. All right, onward. You use commas to set off transitional expressions like however, therefore, nevertheless, for example, that connect the two thoughts. Transitional meaning there was an idea before and it's being transitioned into a related idea. Like Gabriel didn't understand Italian. However, he got along just fine. However is a transition between the two thoughts. A semicolon before is a good choice. The comma after is required. Next one. For example, the Hindus and the Buddhists get along fine in Sri Lanka. Okay, there's a sentence before this that this sentence now is exemplifying. So the phrase, for example, you separate it with a comma. You also use a comma to set off parenthetical expressions, that is, phrases that interrupt the flow of the sentence. The Dodgers, as far as I know, were sold for $2 billion. The college, if you get right down to it, is the best thing about our town. Okay, do you hear it? It's a parenthetical thought. It's an aside. It's not crucial. It's almost a whisper. So just as you would use a parentheses in pairs, you are using commas in pairs to separate this parenthetical expression. So to repeat, an important thing, use these as pairs. Don't forget that second one. You wouldn't forget the second parentheses, would you? That closes it out. Don't forget the second comma. And you use commas to set off sharp contrasts that begin with words like not or unlike. These are phrases that really are jarring, like English, unlike my other classes, is really a challenge. There's a real reversal going on here. Separate that with commas. No. We're not finished by any means at all. I'm just realizing that when it comes to commas, you're really messed up. So we're going to break this up into 2 sessions. Why don't you come back at the next tutorial, go check with my receptionist, make a time. In the meantime, go over these rules, practice them, take your pills, and there is some hope, slightest glimmer of hope. So work on what we've studied so far. We have about 10 more rules to go. Then we're going to take a diagnostic test at the end of that. And then, and only then, will you be cured of this really horrible, horrible disease of comma-itis. Yeah. Okay, so see you at the next tutorial.